Most players see Arthur Morgan as the muscle of the Van der Linde gang. A brute. A loyal dog who bites when his master says bite. He tells everyone who will listen that he's not a good man. That he's just a dumb enforcer running out of time in a world that doesn't want him anymore. But Red Dead Redemption 2 hides the truth about its protagonist in the shadows. In missable camp conversations, in scribbled journal entries, in the items tucked away by his bedside. The Arthur Morgan you play as in 1899 is a man shaped by ghosts. Ghosts the game rarely forces you to look at. Today, we are opening the ledger on Arthur Morgan. We're diving into the 100% confirmed, hidden lore behind the greatest protagonist in gaming history. From the sins of his bloodline to the sacrifices that changed the West forever. If you want to uncover the deepest secrets of Red Dead and join a community that actually respects the lore, and create challenge videos and also mini movies, consider hitting that subscribe button. We've got a long trail ahead, so saddle up and let's ride. To understand Arthur, you have to look at the man he despised most, his father. If you inspect Arthur's wagon at camp, you'll find a mugshot of a man with cold eyes and a familiar jawline. This is Lyle Morgan. Lyle was a petty criminal, a thief, and an abusive father. Arthur's mother, Beatrice, died when he was incredibly young, leaving him alone with a man who taught him only how to take and how to hurt. And Arthur openly admits he didn't shed a tear when he watched his father hang for larceny in 1874. Arthur was just 11 years old. But here is the darkest, unspoken detail about their relationship. Arthur kept his father's hat. That iconic leather hat that Arthur wears on the cover of the game. The one you start with. It belonged to Lyle Morgan. Arthur hates the man, but he wears his hat every single day. It's a constant physical burden on his head. A reminder that the outlaw life is in his blood, and that he is destined for the same violent end. Dutch van der Linde and Hosea Matthews found a 14-year-old Arthur living on the streets. They taught him to read, to write, and to shoot. It gave him a code, but what they couldn't give him was peace. Many players know about Mary Linton, Arthur's doomed romance. But Mary wasn't the only family Arthur tried to build. If you play with high honour and choose to help rains fall in Chapter 6, Arthur opens up about a secret he has kept buried deep inside.
You know, I had a son once, years ago. Don't talk about him much.
Oh, what was his name?
Isaac. His mother, Eliza, was a waitress I met. When she got pregnant, she knew who I was, what my life was. I didn't want to promise nothing I couldn't keep, but I said I'd do right by them. Every few months, I'd stop by there for a few days. He was such a good kid. She was too, I guess. Just a kid, 19.
What happened?
I got there one day and saw 2 crosses outside, and I knew right away. Turned out some bastards had come through, robbed them, and shot them dead, and offered $10. It hardened me, feeling that kind of pain. But I know now that you don't get to live a bad life and have good things happen to you.
I think you're being hard on yourself.
Maybe. All I can do now is try and make some things right.
Before we get to how this changed Arthur's entire endgame, let me know down in the comments. Did you trigger this dialogue with Rainsfall on your first playthrough? Or did you miss it entirely? Drop a comment, I'll read every one. That tragedy shattered Arthur. It hardened him into the enforcer of the Vanderling gang. It's the exact reason he is so incredibly harsh on John Marston in his early chapters. Because Arthur looks at John, a man who has a living wife and son, but initially ran away from them. And he feels pure, visceral disgust. Because John is throwing away the exact life that was violently stolen from Arthur. But Arthur's losses didn't stop there. When you start the game in the freezing cold of Coulter, you're riding a temporary horse. And if you dig into the dialogue, you learn about Arthur's previous horse, a mare named Boadicea. And Boadicea wasn't just a mount. She was Arthur's truest companion during the gang's golden years. He was killed during the botched Blackwater ferry heist, the event that sets the entire game in motion. Boadicea was named after a Celtic warrior queen who fought against the Roman Empire. This proves Arthur's deep knowledge of history, knowledge he actively hides from the rest of the gang. Which brings us to the biggest lie Arthur Morgan has ever told. That he is stupid. Throughout the game, Arthur calls himself an idiot. He lets Dutch do the thinking. But if you actually take the time to read Arthur's journal, a completely different man emerges. His handwriting is elegant. His vocabulary is vast. His sketches of wildlife and architecture are masterful. Arthur plays dumb as a defense mechanism. If he is just the dumb muscle, he doesn't have to take moral responsibility for the terrible things Dutch asks him to do. The journal is the only place Arthur Morgan is allowed to be himself. And when he gets tuberculosis, his journal entries become frantic, deeply philosophical, and utterly heartbreaking. He realises too late that he had the mind of a poet, trapped in the life of a killer. And in his final days, Arthur gives everything he has left to ensure John, Abigail, and Jack can escape. But his ultimate legacy isn't just the time he bought them, it's that small piece of metal. Years prior, Mary Linton returned her wedding ring to Arthur, breaking his heart for the final time. In Arthur's final moments with John on that mountain, alongside his hat, his journal, he hands John his satchel, and inside that satchel is Mary's ring. And when John Marston proposes to Abigail at Beecher's Hope, he doesn't have to buy a ring. He uses the ring Arthur gave him. The symbol of Arthur's vowed love becomes the foundation of John's marriage. Arthur couldn't save his own family, but he literally handed John the tools to build his own. So Arthur Morgan wasn't a good man, but he was a man who tried, at the very end, to do a good thing. So if this video made you appreciate RDR2 even more, do me a favour. Consider hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss these deep dives, challenge videos, and mini movies. So until next time, you keep riding, Outlaws.